What's up guys, hope everyone is doing well. In today's video I'm going to be going over and covering quite a lot of things, but I'm first going to start off with going over these quartet of indicators. The first one I'm going to go over is this Trader's Reality, which includes a pair of moving averages here on this monthly chart of Bitcoin. Each time we get this crossing over right here, we had this final dump indicating with these pink vector candles. We see this for this 2015 bottom. If we go to 2018, 2019, we see the same thing as well. 2022, we also see the same thing there as well. The next one that I want to touch on is the pi cycle high and low, which should be well known by most people. These are the specific inputs that I use for this one to get it about as accurate as I've been able to get it so far. Third one that I wanted to touch on, really I'm going over 5 because RSI bars is included in this, but these 4 that I'm mentioning specifically are really the more important ones that I want to get on. So we can see each time these candles closed right above, or pretty much right on this negative 1.618 golden ratio multiplier right here for 2011. Same thing here for 2015, 2018, and currently where we are right here, 2022. We never have touched the blue band at the very bottom. We've looked a little bit below the green. Outside of that, the stock RSI down here is the last thing that I wanted to touch on. You can see these M patterns that unfold from bottom to high, then to the back to the bear market bottom. After that, we can see the first one right here, and there's actually a smaller one. You can look at it doing something like this right here as well, leading into the bottom. Then we see our second larger, more macro M connecting the cycles like this. Then we get our third one right here for our current phase that we are in. And this one relates back to the first M that I drew in terms of the second smaller M that we see. We see the same thing right here as well on the stock RSI with this smaller M. Here for a more of a lower time frame update, I've been seeing this descending triangle going around a lot with respect to our current price and the bottoms we've been at. I don't really feel like it's too appropriate to be doing that. As I've pointed out, we're getting a bullish divergence on the RSI, stock RSI, and the MACD. We're pretty much getting almost a fractal bullish divergence. Here we're seeing this longer term bullish divergence right here. Then we see another bullish divergence right here in the month of September when we compare that to the price as well. But with respect to this descending triangle, as I said, I don't really feel like it's too appropriate to put that as a trading pattern at the current stage of the market with how the indicators and plenty of other things look. But if we do break down that, this further validates the $14,000, $15,000, $16,000 range right around here at this 0.5, or down to around 10,000, 12,000 right here along the 382 and this VPR support here as well. And some people are comparing it to this 2018 descending triangle, which I don't really feel is too accurate either. Yeah, we haven't gone down as much as we did back here. This bear market 2018 was around like 83% or so. We've only gone down like 74% so far. So that's why a lot of people, I believe, are speculating there's still more downside. But I feel like the technicals and plenty of other things are not really agreeing with that. Also, if we take a look at this M pattern, this yellow M pattern we formed right here leading into our March crash, the price target with respect to it very accurately predicted the $65,000, $69,000 high for Bitcoin that we've reached so far. If we do the same thing with this M pattern, connecting our current bottom at 17.5 and the two highs we set, that puts the price target up again, as I've been saying, around like $240,000, $242,000 approximately. Sweet spot, I think, around like $230,000 to $260,000. If it lowballs this $130,000 to $150,000, I don't feel like it's any too reasonable to entertain anything over $300,000 for Bitcoin at this point. Here for Ethereum, it's pretty much the same idea. You can see we're still getting this W. This is what Bitcoin did for its bottoms back here in 2018. We get our March crash, and we get our two peaks right here, 65,000, 69,000. For Ethereum, it was just around 3.6 thousand and around 5,000. Pretty much the same structural movements, just different prices. Even the indicators down here look the same. The main difference is that we're not getting a bullish divergence on Ethereum. It's just its price is behaving a little bit more aggressively bullish, as we can see on here. It's not trading flat or even with a negative slope like Bitcoin is. That's more appropriate to the bottoms it made back here in 2018. Also, with respect to this bottom, it's set right here according to the March crash. If we do go any lower, as I said, for Bitcoin, it's 14,000 to 16,000, or as low as 12,000 to 10,000 is the most reasonable. For Ethereum, that corresponds to 600 to 700, or is down to low as 300. We're currently down around 82% from our previous all-time high, which is the second worst drop that Ethereum has experienced, which is another good thing. Really, that it's not stupid to have been buying in right now, or at least DCAing in these lows we've set so far. In these like 6 months we've been trading sideways. The price target for Ethereum reasonably is around 25 to 28, 30,000. If it starts to push 40 to 45,000, that's when it's going to start encroaching upon the value of Bitcoin, if not surpassing it, because these are going to happen really at the same time. Again, going back to this 2-day, if you're not familiar with this chart I've been going over recently, the market's likely to top out towards the second half of next year according to all this. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but with the current ideas and everything and how the market structure is, this seems most likely whenever the bull run does eventually begin. So again, second half of next year, same thing for Ethereum. We could possibly bleed into the beginning of 2024. Here for Phantom, which this is the highest, the best performing coin that I've seen so far, having a little over 2,000x during the corresponding move from March crash to the $69,000 high that Bitcoin set around November, right along here on the chart, December of 2021. Something that I'm still observing is whether or not we're going to get this kind of like final blow off top that we got pretty much from August, July of 2021 to November of 2021. Because some of these altcoins, how Bitcoin just went from around 64 to 69,000. You can see Phantom went drastically higher when you were to compare it to Bitcoin just doing what it did back here, as I said. So whichever one of those targets is going to be reached, either it will follow through with another 2,000x, or it will just do around 54,000%, 52,000% at around a 540x or so, reaching around $90 to $100, which is still nothing to look past at all. Still one of the best performers. If we take a look at the indicators down here, it's pretty much the same idea. We need to see the MACD. It's converging upon zero right now. The Bollinger Bands are really tightening up. Odds are it's going to break towards the upside. When you look at the stock RSI and the RSI, Phantom's also getting a bullish divergence as well. Here, if we take a look at Dogecoin, another one of the best performers. Last time it went around 540x, 53,000% or so. If we take a look at the structural movements for this coin, we can see this ABCD pattern, this lightning bolt pattern that unfolded right here in the current or the previous bull market. The second leg was a little bit more in terms of percentage gains than the first. If that ends up happening similar this time, it could push as high as $38, I believe. But I believe $20 to $28 at the highest is the most reasonable range to be looking out for. If any lower than that, right here at along around $1.50 up towards $3, $5 at the most for Dogecoin. But I do firmly believe that $20 to $28 is nothing. That's not crazy. It's still not even going to be worth it. It'll be worth around 3.5 trillion or so, 3.8 trillion at these values within this $20 to $28 range, but it won't be worth more than Bitcoin, and that's all that matters. Because this is going to happen towards the end of next year, along with Bitcoin increasing its market value up towards 4 to 5 trillion. So as long as nothing passes that outside of like Ethereum, it's not really a problem. We're also getting very nice VPR confluence support right here. Also, if you look at this Fibonacci fan, you can see we're in coming down towards this green and orange area. That's exactly where we came down towards for the previous bull market. It's the exact same bottom we're at right now. We're just in a different cycle with more decay, logarithmic decay, which is why the bull market's lasted longer and the bear markets have lasted longer. This one, the percentage gains went higher, which is typically, I guess, what you don't see when you look at something in Bitcoin. But you can see that also this bottom right here kind of happened in the general area, same range as well. So that's just another thing to be seeing right there. If we take a look at this Fibonacci circle I have on here, I actually just randomly found out that the line you use to draw the Fibonacci circle doesn't even correspond to the one retracement. It corresponds to 1.444, which is a retracement that as far as I'm aware, I'm the only person who uses it. I've never seen anybody else use that as a retracement, but it marks the beginning of my golden pocket range up to 0.786. So each of these further successions of these three groupings you see are just further successions of 1.618, 2.618, etc., so on. You can see how these nicely line up pretty often with good spots to buy in for an overall bottom, like for example right here in March 2020 and also October of 2020. Also right here for the high in 2018, 2017, this 618 right here, this iteration landed right on top of it. Also, if you take a look at this grouping right here, it landed right on top of this bottom. There's another grouping right here that would indicate right before the leap, and also the dollar to around $3 to $5 lands in this grouping, and then also the 20 as low as 10, 10 to all the way up towards, as I said, $28 lands in this last grouping, which I believe this is the 15.444 to 786. If not, it's the 14. But again, if we take a look at the indicators down here, you can see we are getting not as much. It's more of an exaggerated bullish divergence. If you take a look at price, it's more so kind of just flat, disregarding that one wick that it went to at the lowest, whereas the RSI down here is having an upwards positive slope. So we're pretty much getting a nice positive deviation or divergence there. Stock RSI is chilling in the middle. Just kind of needs to maintain this upper ground to continue a positive acceleration. And then MACDs literally look just about all the same for most of these coins that I'm going to go over. We're converging upon zero. Bollinger Bands are tightening up, and we just need to break above it to carry on a bull run and momentum towards the upside. Here for Theta, this one 45,000 approximately percent, 450x last time around. It's forming a very nice, which I guess all of these are technically forming ABCD patterns. Some of them just, I mean, this is obviously an ABCD pattern, as I pointed out, and that's also what you can put on top of Bitcoin from its March crash to this high upcoming towards around halfway through 200,000, if that's what we end up actually going to. It's all just like a lightning bolt or ABCD pattern. For on here, take a look at the indicators first real quick. We're getting pretty much the same picture. We're getting a bullish divergence here on Theta as well. RSI and the stock RSI, again the MACD looks just about the same. We're getting the VPR supports on here aren't lining up too well, or at least not necessarily too well, but right on where we are bottomed out. I don't think we'll go any lower. If we do, this is around 72 cents down to around 40 cents. I forgot to mention it, but if we do go lower, Dogecoin's price targets are around 3 cents, 3.5, down to as low as 1 cent. But I don't really believe that will end up carrying out, although it could. For Theta, this would push again sometime towards the second half of next year, upwards as high as around $425 or so. Here for the next coin, Matic, this one was also around 450x, 45,000%. Again, we're pretty much seeing the same type of, this one's more like Ethereum, it's more behaving aggressively bullish, as I'll say. But the stock RSI is already up in the upper range. We just need to hold it similar to how we did up here for this bull run for the most of this parabolic movement back here in 2021 of May. The MACD's already flipped above the 0 point upon the convergence upon the zero, so that's good as well to see. This one's performing abnormally well, better than most of the other ones are performing right now. And this one actually looks a lot similar to the fractal pattern that I'm using for all of these, because we're still within the same phase and it should be a very similar parabolic move according to the structure. But we're, as you can see, we're pretty much right here. If we go back to July of 2020, we're about right here, and we're already starting to see this move up in alignment with this fractal pattern. Whether or not we're going to go all the way up to around $1.13, we'll find out. But we are getting that upwards momentum, and I do believe at this point it's pretty likely that we will get this another drop down to around 52 cents or so, and then continue to go up from there. Just again looking similar to how this M pattern, this bullish M pattern, was made before we got this parabolic move. If we do end up falling through here for Matic, that pushes it up towards around $100, $125 or so at the highest. Again, falling sometime towards the second half. This one actually lines up more around, this fractal pattern is lining up around August. Some of these altcoins are going to top out a little bit earlier. Like for example, the next one I'm going to go over is going to be most different from all of these. But the range for this one is looking around August to pretty much, as I said, we could bleed into like 3 months into 2024. Just in general for all these coins, the range where I think we're going to top out at is the second half of next year, perhaps pushing in, bleeding into the first 3 months of 2024 in general for all of these. Here for XYO, as I said, this one looks the most different, and by that I mean that this one looks like it's likely to top out as early as May of 2023, and that actually resolves a discrepancy between this chart you're looking at right here, which is the XYO to Bitcoin, the other being the XYO to US dollar pair. When you look at the XYO to US dollar pair, it more is vouching for a $2.34, just approximately $2.50 price target. And when you look at this chart, it says the same as well, but it also kind of looks like it could go to $16. And what I did here is not necessarily what I did here, but this very nice ABCD pattern. And whenever you take this fractal pattern as well, this is what it lines up with. But this ABCD pattern with A to C is 0.786 and B to D, as you can see, is 64.786. 786 is already a part of the Fibonacci retracements, and the sequence in general. But 64 is also a number that's very important as well. Nintendo 64 is probably the most well-known example of that. And within Bitcoin's mining process, with respect to like hash targets, it has to create a 64-digit hexadecimal number for that process. If you go back to ancient cultures, ancient Vedic Indian Hinduism, also within the Sri Yantra, the 64 number 64 is related to that. If you go back to ancient China with the I Ching, 64 is related to that as well. I think that's about it. 64 also for our genome, the human genome, 64 DNA codons. Also, 64 is a part of the doubling sequence, which is the mathematical sequence that our cells divide by. Whenever one splits into 2, then that goes into 4, and then 8, and so on. But this is just a pattern, basically, that I'm saying further validates this. And I'm kind of backing that up with the fact that these numbers are really important, which to some may just be nonsense, but to me it's not nonsense. This one was around a 32,000% move, so around a 320x. But what's interesting about this coin is that given that it's very likely, because of this discrepancy I said between these two charts, which I believe has been resolved with what I'm showing you here, this one will top out in around May. And if you go and look back at something at Dogecoin, if you take a look at how it's pretty likely to perform, if you look at May, it's still kind of down in these lows. You could catch that run for XYO and then get into something like Dogecoin, or you could get into something like Phantom in around May when we're about like right in this area and still catch most of its run. I mean, that just goes to say for many altcoins that I'm not even showing in this video, a lot of them are going to top out earlier than a lot of them, and you can still get out of them and get into other ones and still continue to make a lot of profit and just roll off trades. But if we take a look at the indicators down here, we're not getting a bullish divergence on here. The stock RSI is kind of just shown in the middle. It's good that we have seen this leap up from the downside. We need to just continue to hold this middle ground, especially the upper ground, similar to how we did back here, just to maintain a bullish sentiment. Again, the MACD is just kind of pushing more towards the 0 point, converging upon at that, and we just need to break above it, similar to how we did back here as well. You could even actually, we did get a bullish divergence. If you take a look at this low back here we made for XYO around March of 2022, then we go to the lowest wick we set in May. If you take a look at the MACD, we did get a bullish divergence right there as well, which I believe will end up falling through. I'm assuming all of this is going to be accurate in the long run anyways. And it's also just nicely lining up with VPR support as well. Here for these two last coins that I want to go over, Jasmy and Saitama. Jasmy doesn't hardly have any price data on anywhere, so you can't really look at past history to try to get at least some sort of idea to entertain something. Either we're going to continue to bleed down and hit this more micro downtrend, or hit this larger, more macro downtrend as low as around, I think it's like 1/10 of a cent or something, lining also up with this 1.618. If we take a look here at these indicators, MACD is really, I mean, it's literally kind of just been going straight sideways for quite some time. Stock RSI is finally seeing a leap towards the upside. MACD as well, finally reclaiming this upper area. Hopefully we'll continue to see this momentum just in general in alignment with the rest of the market, assuming once Bitcoin flips, Ethereum and all the other ones, these other altcoins will start to go up with it. And the thing about this MACD down here is that given how this is just really, it's just compressing essentially. You can think about prices like a spring. Whenever it enters these bear markets, you can just think about it as it's going towards the downside, and you would traditionally think about that as stretching something, but it's going to the downside, and as it's going down to the downside, it's building up pressure over time to once it finally does bottom out. And the longer it goes sideways, a lot of times for some coins, the more pressure it's going to have to release. It's just whether or not that's towards the upside or the downside. Here for Jasmy, as I said, the highest I've seen so far is up to 200,000%. Jasmy seems like a very promising project, so if it does move up that high, which I'm going to entertain in this video, I haven't seen anything go higher than that, so I don't even know if anything will at this point. If it does go that high, that would put it more up around $9, $8, $10. If it pushes like the $50,000 or 50,000%, similar to Dogecoin, it's around $2, $2.50. If it pushes around 32,000, it's about $1.25. If it pushes more around 10,000, which is in the lower bracket of the altcoins, it could hit around 50 cents or so. Just in general, just watch out for it to perhaps maybe just get caught back here at around 2 cents, which I don't think that's too likely. Perhaps it's going to come up and just retest its previous all-time high and stop there. But again, I doubt that. And perhaps this is going to be one of the coins that just happens to move higher than 200,000% at the end of the day. We really don't know what's going to happen. Here for Saitama, I'm not fond of these types of coins. I kind of think about this coin and SHIB as kind of pretty much the same thing. I think about Doge as different. I have some sort of respect for Doge. Not that I disrespect SHIB or anything. I don't know. I don't really mess with them that much. But it's the fact that I know Saitama it's geared around just kind of being like an easy money maker. If I'm saying that the wrong way, feel free to correct me in the comments. But this thing, if this is accurate, in pretty much a day moved up, I don't even know, what, 200 million to 300 million%. This thing could do that again. It could go 3 times higher than this, going up to $28, and it still would only have a market value of $1 trillion with its circulating supply currently. This thing could move. This is a 3,000,000% move right here. It could do that 2 times more after doing this once, and it still would only be worth $3 trillion, which is going to be less than Bitcoin's market value, which it really should. It's really all that matters. It's kind of far-fetched. I mean, technically, it can do it. I mean, this thing could move 1,000,000%. I mean, this might be one of the best movers at the end of the day. Who knows? That was really all that I wanted to go over in this video. Again, just to quickly touch on these lower time frames here for this 2-day, we could potentially, hopefully, seeing Bitcoin move back up through 20,000, 21, 22, up to 25,000. If it does do that, we could look at this as kind of an inverse or reversed cup and handle formation, which also brings the price target up to what I've been saying of a range around 28 to 32,000. Right now, we just need to hold 19,000, which we've been doing quite well at this point. Again, either we are going to break to the downside, 14, 15, 16,000, 10 to 12,000, or what I believe will happen is we'll continue to make an upward stride towards the $200,000 to $300,000 range by sometime during the second half of next year. That was about all that I wanted to go over in this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you were able to learn something, and I hope you all have a blessed day.